Gerry Hussey, an honour to have you on the Modern Warrior podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's a delight, and we've been trying to make this happen for some time now. But I think it had to happen this way because, as I mentioned, all of this is coming at a timely manner for myself, where I'm beginning to wake up to a lot of things. So I'm probably in the best position possible to have this conversation with you today. I'm very excited for what's to come. But I want to bring it back for yourself in terms of the beginning and the origins, and going back to that first book that you wrote, Awaken, the Power Within. Can you tell us about a time when you were asleep and what your life was like before you woke up?
Yeah, well, I think for me, if I look at the first 11 years, that's probably the darkest time of my life. And, you know, it was a time of fear, anxiety. And of course, growing up in the west of Ireland, you know, I didn't even hear of a psychologist or mental health. So if there was something wrong, you know, with panic attacks and, you know, pains in my head, and you're going from GP to GP to GP, and every GP was telling me I was perfectly healthy. But, you know, up to 11, and I know 11 because it was the first time I used to be a boxer. So you box officially at 11 years old, boy one. And I remember my first fight ever. And it was the day of just chaos. Just a day of terror and fear and worrying, would I let everybody down? Would I get hammered? Would I disappoint my parents? And I was anxious. And I remember even in the fight, I couldn't even think. I was just panicking. And I remember getting hit, and part of me actually liked it. And part of me was just like, wouldn't it be amazing if I just got hit hard enough now and this is all over? So when you're 11 and you're that, but that was really where I had to start waking up, because by the time of 14, if people know my story, I'd probably taken to the point where, you know, ending my own life was the only way out. So you get to a point where you just realize, I can't live like this. I can't live in this anxiety. I can't live in this constant state of stress. I can't be dealing with just numbness. And I remember even at birthday parties, and my mum and dad would go to big effort, you know, to put on a party and all my friends would be there and everyone having a great time. And all I'd be thinking was, I don't give a shit. I can't feel any of this. I remember eating an ice cream one day, I just even couldn't taste it. I remember going to bed at night time and just worrying, like, what if everyone dies in the morning? I used to say to my mother, how do I know you're not going to die? And I knew deep down she couldn't tell me that we're not going to die. So I used to be awake all night just in case if I fell asleep and I woke up, everybody was dead. I used to ask questions like, you know, what moves the tide? My mother said the moon. And I'd say, how? I think I've always been gifted or cursed with an incredibly curious mind. And I probably had questions appearing in my mind long before I was able for them. But so that part of my life up to 14, 15 was just, 11 was the moment of probably my lowest. And then you start to work through that and you start to ask, what's going on here? And from the age of 14, after being from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor, and eventually a pediatrician telling my mum that I was making it up so I didn't have to go to school, there was the first time in my life where this voice inside my head that up to that moment said, you're useless. You're not as clever as your sisters. You're not as, you know, you're not as good as your brothers. Why can't you be strong? Why can't you be good at boxing? What the hell is wrong with you? You're useless. You're miserable. You're making everybody miserable. That was the only voice I heard. And I don't know where that voice came from, but when I saw that pediatrician kind of bark at my mother and dismiss her, he said, you've taken up enough people's time. Something inside me clicked, and I'll never know what it was. Something. And I remember standing up, and in my own head I said, you don't get to say that. No way. It was like something, a spirit, an energy, something inside of me woke up and said, he doesn't get to speak to your mother like that. And I think then, like at 14, when you look back, it sounds very young, but I didn't feel young at 14. I didn't feel young. I've probably been an old man a long time. And I just said to myself, right, I didn't promise myself I wasn't going to end my own life. I just said I'm not going to do it this week. And I'm going to start reading. I'm going to figure out what the hell this is. Because I knew they'd missed something. I knew that there were highly qualified, highly intelligent, highly competent doctors, but they'd miss something. And I made it a mission for as long as I can hold strong in the face of this stress, anxiety, I didn't even know what to call it, I'm going to try to figure this out. And from the age of 14, I started reading books on the mind, the brain, the gut-brain axis, anxiety, trauma. And suddenly at the age of 14, when I started reading books like that, it was like, imagine if you were going through a desert and you hadn't drank a sip of water in like 10 weeks. Imagine how thirsty you'd be. When I started reading books about the body, when I started reading books from Deepak Chopra, when I started reading books about frequency and energy, it just made perfect sense. And I couldn't drink them quick enough. I couldn't read those books fast enough. My brother then bought this tape about the power of the subconscious mind. And every night we'd lie in bed, we had bunk beds in our bedroom. And in fairness to my brother, I don't know if he was doing it for himself or he was doing it for me, we'd listen for an hour before we fell asleep. And all through the night, these tapes would play over and over and over again. It was around resetting our subconscious program. So it was a very deep beginning. It was a very dark beginning. But from the age of 14, I started to realize that there's a lot of misscience out there. There's a lot of mistruths out there. And the actual truth about the human being, the truth about the human brain, the truth about the nervous system, the truth about the gut-brain axis, the truth about frequency is actually more mind-blowing than science. It's more mind-blowing than fiction. It is just mind-blowing what we are capable of when we set our sight on healing and manifesting, but it's also mind-blowing what we're capable of when we set our sight on destruction and self-destruction. And once we set our heart, our soul, or our mind on self-destruction, it is amazing how fast we can rip our life apart and how deep we can tear our own soul apart. So I just think, the human being is something we need to understand. We've studied the outside world. We know all about Mars. We know about the sun. We know about the theorem of Pythagoras. But if you ask 100 people on the street, what is a neurosynaptic connection? They probably can't tell you. Where is your microbiome? They probably can't tell you. What is the gut-brain axis? What's the blood-brain barrier? What's the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system? They don't really know. If I was to ask them at what frequency does every cell in your body vibrate at, they don't know. I think it's time now we stop looking to the outside world. We've explored that enough for now. Let's put the same energy and the same resources into understanding who the hell we are, what makes us become what we become, what empowers and enables the human being, and what destroys the human being.
Incredible stuff. It's, as I mentioned, coming at a defining time in my own life where I've just turned 40 and reflecting back on the last decade of my 30s, realizing how much work I've done up to this point, but realizing as well that I've only started, and perhaps my 30s were a process of accumulating the strength and resilience to take on the next chapter in my life. But throughout my 30s, I would have used a lot of resources and books and podcasts and therapists and retreats, and now realizing that I'm putting too much emphasis on all of this external information, looking for answers in all the books and the podcasts and your YouTube channels and all of these things. I already have all the answers. I just need to be with myself and pay attention to what comes up, and I will find my way. Mm-hmm. But this process of being alone is something that so many people are completely terrified of. And I've been there as well. Probably why I use the books and the podcast and all of these things, just to feel as though I was doing work where I wasn't really. It was mental masturbation, So, but from your own experience of working with people and your own personal experience, where do we start with all of this?
I think it's starting at asking yourself. So every human being is different, and what we have right now is too many people with generic numbers spitting all types of nonsense everywhere as if you're generic. So everybody has to have 10,000 steps a day. What an utter load of nonsense. Because if that's the science, isn't it amazing it landed on 10,000? Everybody needs to eat more protein. Without measuring my gut, without doing any analysis of my metabolism or my energy output, without understanding who I am, somebody can tell me I need more protein. Really? Bananas are good for everybody. I wonder, are they? Everybody needs to lower their cholesterol. Do we really understand what cholesterol does? Where did the number 4.5 come from? Should it be 4.5? So we have a world of generic numbers, and a lot of them, there's no science, like 21 days to make a habit. If I hear that nonsense anymore, it doesn't take 21 days. Forming a habit has got to do with building a new neurosynaptic connection in the brain. You can do that literally in a minute through deep, deliberate practice. You can spend your life in the wrong mindset trying to deliver a habit. So we have to start by asking questions like, when I drink that, does it make me feel better? Do you honestly think alcohol makes you a better person? When you eat that food, 1 hour after you eat it, do you feel alive? Do you feel energy? Do you sleep well? Do you feel bloated? Do you feel stagnated? I think people just need to listen to themselves. And you said that a few moments ago. There's no greater genius on you than you. So it's to sit alone each and every morning for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and ask, what signals are my body sending me right now? Nobody should have heartburn. So nobody should have aches and pains. Nobody should be waking up feeling exhausted. Nobody should feel bloated. These are signs that something is out of balance. And what puts you out of balance might not put me out of balance. And what puts me out of balance. So everybody's immune system is different. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody's soul is different. So we need to stop looking out for these generic numbers and following all of these paths that everyone has described and begin to ask ourselves, why am I getting a heartburn? Why do I think I have a headache? Why do I feel so tired waking up? Is this really the life I dreamt about? Is there enough love in my life? Is there enough forgiveness in my life? Is there enough joy in my life? Why am I actually pushing myself so hard? And the two deeper questions you have to get to then is, what is it I'm actually afraid of? And who do I really believe I am? And I think that silence alone every morning, to listen to the symptoms of the body, to listen, to just observe your lifestyle, observe the way you're living, observe the way you're thinking, observe the food you eat, observe the things you drink, and ask why. So I've never drank in my life. And the amount of times I had to answer the question, why don't you drink? And I'd say to people, why do you drink? Tell me what you're looking for in the bottom of a glass. Tell me what you need from that glass. And they didn't know. So the question shouldn't be, why don't you drink? The question is, why are you drinking? Because there is no health benefit to that. We know the widespread devastation that alcohol causes. It's a drug. It's an addictive drug that has wrecked thousands of lives. Why would I want that in my system? For a kid to grow up so anxious and had worked so hard to become strong and confident and happy. And then people say, go on, just have one. No, thanks. So I think for me, it's to look at all of these things that society tells you we need and we should have, and this is what life should be about. Life should be about go, 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 push, 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 5,000 marathons in one day, 15 triathlons in 2 hours, push, 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 fancy cars, big houses. And just ask yourself, is that really what I want? Is that really going to make me happy? And I think it's the ability to sit alone with yourself and ask, who am I? What do I stand for? What's the meaning of my life? And in this one short, beautiful life, in this one shot that I get, what would the greatest manifestation of me look like? And then having the courage to step out and be different. So I've had to be different in all types of work. People say, you're not your regular bloke. Well, what does that look like? You don't speak like your regular bloke. What does that sound like? And if there's nothing regular about me, well, I'm pretty okay with that. So I think it's, you ask yourself the questions and then you give yourself permission to step out and be you. Because we get one shot of this. It's not a dress rehearsal. It's like I used to box, and every time you step in the ring, you think your opponent is the guy across the ring from you. When you lose enough fights like I lost, you begin to realize my opponent isn't in the ring. My opponent's inside my head. He's inside my head. And if I can get into this ring full of joy and love and freedom, and I actually don't care whether I get knocked out or not, but for every second I'm in this ring, I'm going to give it a right good shot. Jesus, amazing what happens. So I think it's stop looking outward, look inward. Ask yourself, what's my life about? Who the hell am I? What's going to bring me most joy? And when this is all over, when I take my final breath, what's going to bring me peace?
How do you manage in your own life navigating this change through an environment or a society that doesn't celebrate it, that doesn't acknowledge it? I'm sort of thinking back to your 14, 15-year-old self, which is a few years ago, where life and things were very different. There was probably no YouTube channels, or there was no advocate for mental health or well-being. But here you are, you're on this path that so many others are unfamiliar about. And when you're doing something that's very different from the norm, you get a lot of pushback, a lot of criticism, and you get a lot of perhaps hate. How do you manage to navigate that in your own journey?
I think it's simply openness. Like, I was lucky that I had boxing, and for me, you know, and I might get in trouble for saying this because everyone says equal men and women are equal, and yes, women and men are equal, but I think men and women maybe, but I know as a man, speaking as a man, there's a need in me to do something. There's a need in me at times to roar and to scream and to hit a bag with everything I have. And people might say, oh, well, that's not natural. But I wonder, like, there's a lot of castrated masculinity out there. Don't shout, don't raise your voice. And particularly if you're a white male at the moment, it can be tough. I was in a corporation the other day and they were celebrating where every voice is represented, every colour, class and creed. And they had this beautiful picture with about 100 different pictures on it. And the question was asked, any questions? And I put my hand up. I said, there's no white man there. Where's the white week? Who celebrates the white guy? Because that's me and that's my son. And I haven't done anything wrong. And there was a silence. Do I not deserve my place at that table as well? And I think men have now a big challenge on our hands. We need to find out who we are and not be embarrassed about being a male. So males are different. And when I coach men, I coach them very differently than I would coach a female. Same content, same journey, but it's different. So for me, I was lucky at boxing, but I had coaches who didn't care that I was a crap boxer. They actually ran a boxing club to help kids. And in that space, we felt safe. We felt loved. If we did 50 things wrong, all I had was a good jab. But that one thing was praised all the time. Every time I walked through the doors, I felt welcome. It was my space. I loved it. I was in St. Saviour's Boxing Club in Dublin, and it was full of Irish champions, full of European champions, full of, you know, and then there was me. What the hell was I doing there? But I never felt that. I think people need a place where they're not judged, where they feel special. I could go in there and be myself. And every round of sparring that I did, sometimes I used to spar like, you know, guys that were way better than me, but they would allow me to be my best. So, and then through that, we discovered cold water immersion. So Saviour's had this shower that you pull ice water. From that, from some of the boxes, I discovered visualization. Then I discovered meditation. Then I started studying more about martial arts and the Shaolin monks and their meditation and their ability to slow time down using their breath. So then I started discovering the power of breath work, the power of meditation. I studied, like, you know, everything from, you know, karate, to Tai Chi, Qigong, and you realize that a lot of these incredible martial arts are based on movements that are very powerful to the human being. They've all involved the breath, but they all have this incredible ability to slow time down. So through boxing, I had this place to unload all my anger. I had this place where I felt safe and loved. I got exposed to cold water immersion. I got exposed to breath work. I started studying the real fundamentals of martial arts, which is around discipline, the ability to slow time down, the ability to be in a really competitive, hostile environment, but to be calm in there. And what I discovered was, particularly in Savage, where you go sparring, and it's hell for leather. And I mean hell for leather. And it is just freedom. And at the end, you're two guys in the ring and we'd hug each other. And we'd say thank you, or we'd say, see you tomorrow. And I realized that, it's okay for men to be angry. It's okay. It's okay to not shy away from that. In fact, there was something remarkable about two guys going in a ring in a fair environment and going at it. And at the end, we just hug, and the respect and the love. And so if I look back, the one constant in my life that I've had since I was 14, really since 11, is boxing. And from that, I've discovered so much else. And I think people, whether it's boxing, whether it's dancing, whether it's yoga, find the one thing that you feel. And then through that, you'll start to surround yourself with people who think different. And then you might, through yoga, hear about a breathwork class. Even if you're a total skeptic, try it. Qigong, try it. Cold water immersion, try it. Shamanism, try it. And even if you try it and you say, actually, that's not for me, that's a load of nonsense, or it just doesn't resonate with me, there'll be some little nugget you'll pick up. So I think it's about having an open mind, starting at something that brings you alive, something that makes your spirit feel alive. And then from that, allow yourself to explore deeper and deeper and deeper. What's the fundamental of this? And people say, because I'm always talking about peace and love and joy. And, geez, I can't believe you love boxing. Because boxing is not about aggression. And anybody who boxes knows that the greatest fighters, it's actually they're in a flow state. They can slow time down. They can see things quicker. And that's the way we should be living our life. Yes, we live in a life that can be full of adversity, can be full of challenge, can be full of chaos. We know all of that. But that doesn't mean that inwardly we have to be full of anxiety and fear and anger. The ability to be in a hostile environment, a threatening environment, but to feel calm and safe, to get hit, just be okay with that. You get injured and you kind of smile at yourself. Or I remember sometimes taking a body shot and for a second you couldn't breathe. And they say, don't panic, it'll pass. And you'd nearly give your opponent a little wink to say, fuck, you got me. But that's life.
Yeah.
And I think there are so many analogies, particularly between boxing and life. It's one round at a time. It's 1 minute at a time. And sometimes you have to just get through that 1 second. It's about control. It's about being in that zone. And it's about bringing a sense of joy and fun and ease into a hostile environment. And I think that has been the anchor from which I've built everything in my life.
Yeah, well, I share that with you because I had a similar journey in my own life. I started off with karate when I was 7 because I'd been bullied in school, and that transferred into boxing and kickboxing, and then later back to boxing again. So I share this analogy with you and this passion with you. And is it about setting a foundation on physical strength and resilience first to then dive into the emotional struggles and difficulties, or does it have to be that way? I'm talking more specifically for men, because for me, and perhaps for yourself, and for many men out there, we start with the physical, and then the emotion and the mental health or the mental well-being comes afterwards, or comes from that.
Yeah, well, I think firstly you start whatever is easily accessible to you, but I think if we stop separating both, so this idea of physical and mental health are connected, we should stop saying that, because that kind of still implies two things connected. Physical and mental health are the same thing. It's like having a swimming pool and in one corner of the swimming pool you have a pissing area. That's not going to work because the piss is going to get everywhere. We have to see physical, emotional, psychological health as one thing. So we know now when we exercise, firstly, we create endorphins. What are endorphins? Endogenous morphine. We know the muscles produce hope molecules, which elevated our sense of enthusiasm and passion and positivity. We know we switch off our stress response. So straight away, like when we walk even, it has a massive impact on our brain, on our hippocampus. So walking, running, when we bounce on our feet like boxers do, we're switching on our lymphatic drainage system. When we punch, and as you'll know from boxers or martial art, you punch, you go, that's regulating the vagal tone. So when you look now at all the science around vagal tone regulation, our nervous system, lymphatic drainage system, switching on and changing our chemistry, actually exercise does all of that. Secondly is our emotions are not held in the brain. The human brain is incapable of experiencing emotion. So anger, fear, shame, guilt is never experienced by the brain. The brain doesn't deal with that. It dumps it into the body. So fear, stress, anger, trauma is only held in the human body. And in order to move an emotion, in order to move that negative energy out, we got to move the body. The quickest way to change an emotion is through moving the body. I always say exercise is like exorcism. No, exorcism is when you remove a ghost. Exorcism is when you remove negative energy. So when you're in the ring and you're in the gym and you're shaking and moving and chanting, you're moving all that negative energy out. And then if you can finish your exercise with some meditation, some breath work, some cold water immersion, don't tell me when you walk out you're not going to feel emotionally, psychologically better. We have to stop thinking about the best way to deal with my mental health is sitting in an office talking about my trauma. The game is up on that. It has to be a connected approach. So I think exercise, should not be where you're punishing yourself every day, when you're grinding it out, where you're running against the watch. Exercise, I go to the gym some days and I just dance around and shake around like Ali and Floyd Mayweather, because I'm just shaking and I'm singing and I'm dancing and I'm exercising. So even walking is incredible. So when I say we need to exercise every day, it's certainly not about punishment. It's about energizing, exercising, getting rid of emotions, chanting, bringing in that vagal tone. So when we're in the gym and we've all my clients going, we're literally going, ha, ha, ha. And most people who don't know the science would probably think we're crazy. But when you know the science, so I think as a psychologist, that's why I have people in the gym all the time. I do all my sessions through movement, through activation, through movement of the body, because as I said, all trauma is held in the body. And we've got to work it out of the body. Now, of course, talk therapy is really important as well. And there's times you have to go back in your past. You have to understand your trauma. So talk therapy is really important as well. But I think exercise is the fundamental. And there's the biggest study ever done on exercise and mental health. In its synopsis, in its closing statement, it said, for every day you don't exercise, you're taking a depressant. So when you think of that, so that's for me is whether you're, and even simple things. If you go into the gym and you do a nice session, you feel good coming out of it, you're not going to crave chocolate. So I ask people, the minute we finish the session, we're after boxing, we're after chanting, we're laughing. I say, now, who wants a bar of chocolate? Who wants a burger? Who wants chips? Your body never craves junk food. Junk emotions crave junk food. Anger, fear, stress, sadness, that's when we crave this food. So if you can start your day with exercise, cold water immersion, all the stuff that we know, that leads to a better food choice. And now you've created what I call this gap between stimulus and response. So inwardly, you're feeling more calm, you feel more focused. Car pulls out in front of you, you're not going to respond. You're in a difficult meeting in the office 2 hours after the gym. Someone says something that you normally would fly off the handle about, you're like, nah, not now. I'm going to figure out why they said that. What's behind this? So I just think we're better served when we stop talking about mental and physical health. It's the same thing. It's one of the same being. And in order to be truly emotionally, psychologically, and physically healthy, we have to go to the gym. And in the gym, we have to work the vagus nerve. We have to work the lymphatic drainage system. We have to fire new neurons in the brain. So as we're punching or shadowboxing with each jab, I'm saying strong, confident, happy, strong, confident, happy, strong, confident, happy. And we know that when we say those words, our reticular activating system in the brain lights up. We create neurosynaptic connections. And now we're firing the emotions down. And that's the type of work I do with my clients. It is a full multidisciplinary 380-degree approach to health. I don't separate physical or mental health. It's a full approach to health.
What happens if there's somebody that's stuck at the moment? And what I'm referring more so to is perhaps, let's say they're in a relationship where there's children involved, but they are at a place where they feel they've outgrown that relationship or the woman they're with. Again, speaking mostly about men here. Or they're in a job, but it's not something they're passionate about, but they have to stay in the job to make the money, to buy the brand new house or a brand new car, or to keep up with the appearances and to provide for the family. So there's a separation there between where they want to be or where they want to go versus where they are right now. And, you know, of course, there's a huge barrier of shame there for a lot of men, especially because if you aren't the provider, if you aren't the husband, if you are the dad if you leave your kids behind, there's a lot of shame around that. Although deep down inside, you know that change is necessary and required. How do you break through that barrier to then, again, live a life of authenticity and live a life of truth? And again, free from bullshit, free from shame.
Yeah, it comes down to two words, and they're I can't do this anymore. And I think whoever you have to sit down with, even if it's yourself, I remember like many points in my life where, you know, trying to outrun everything and trying to bottle everything up. I remember just saying, I can't do this. I can't do this to myself anymore. And I think what we have to do is sometimes we ask ourselves, like, whether it's a trauma, whether it's addiction, whether it's the willingness to stay in a shitty job or willingness to stay in a shitty relationship, all of those things are just symptoms. And they're symptoms of a low self-worth. I don't care enough about myself. And most of these destructive tendencies, like imagine if your kid came and said, Dad, I'm in a job. I hate it. It's stressed off my head. It's killing me. What do you think I should do? Or if they said, I'm in a relationship, it's toxic. I can't breathe. I feel sick when I think of going home to the house. What do you think I should do? I think we have to learn to love ourselves more. I think we have to learn to see ourselves as that little child that we are, because every single one of us has this little child inside of us. And that child just wants to be seen. He wants to be heard. He wants to be loved. He wants to live a life of freedom. He wants to smile. And what I did in my own journey was I took a picture of myself. I found a picture of me on my first birthday. And I was standing about to blow my candles out. And I had this big head, you wouldn't believe it now, big head of hair, blonde curls. And I was just big blue-eyed boy about to blow these candles. I'm full of life and joy. And I would ask every man listening to this, and woman, but men, find a picture of yourself as a child and just look at yourself. And just ask, why would I do this to him? Why would I force him to live a life like this? Why would I force him to take on this pressure? Why would I force him to eat the shit I eat? Why would I force him to drink the way I drink? And it's asking, what does this little kid need right now? And sometimes I just need to fucking scream. And then scream. I need to hit a bag. I need to talk to someone. And that can be a therapist. It can be just your best mate. And we think our mates don't know. We think we men are a bit fucking awkward, but we're not actually. And any time I've ever sat down with a good male friend of mine and said, I'm lost at the moment, they know how to handle it. Trust your mates. Because they might be in the exact same place. So I think the starting point is asking, why am I willing to do this to myself? And when you have a picture of yourself and you're looking at it, you're saying, why would I do that to that little kid? So I think at times we feel the pressure. So us modern men, we have to still probably do the role of our grandfathers. We're out there, we're working every day. But now we also have to take on the role of our mothers. So we come home, we have to have the kids, we have to do everything with the kids, we have to do story time, and that's what I'm saying, most men I know are just exhausted. They're literally at the wit's end. But they put on that suit of armour and they go out every day. And sometimes they're afraid to have a conversation with the wife. They're afraid to say, I can't keep this up. I can't keep this financial pressure up. And we can't blame women for that. We as men need to define what is our role now in the modern society, because we can't be everything. We can't be the providers. We can't be doing the 12 or 14-hour days and be the mother and be this. And society in some ways says, you not only need to be doing all of this, and you need to be 6'6", and you need to have a 6-pack, and you need to be driving a car, and you need to have loads of money. And I was with a group of girls the other day on retreat, and some of these girls are in their late 30s, early 40s, and they're really successful, high-powered girls. And they're beautiful looking, but they can't find anyone to. And they're like, what is it, Gerry? And I'm saying, it's probably one of two things. Because the men that are high-powered and really driven probably don't need another one of them in their life. So they're not going to come to you, because what they need is to come home to someone who doesn't give a shit about their job, doesn't give a shit about someone they can just be vulnerable around. So they're not looking for a high-powered person. And the male who isn't high-powered probably looks at you and says, I don't make enough to entertain her. I'm not good enough looking. I don't have the tan. I don't have the 6-pack. I'm not who she's looking for. So in some ways, we're all losing out. And I just think we all need a conversation. Women have to have their conversation. But men, we need to have our conversation. Because most men I know who are trying to be the high-performing business guy, the high-performing dad, the high-performing husband, we're in the gym, we're trying to be everything. We're actually burnout stage. And when I get a bunch of lads together, some men just need to sleep or cry. I think we have taken on all the weight and expectations of our grandfathers to be the providers, the protectors, and now we've taken on the role of our mothers. We have to be good in the house. We have to be good with the kids. And a lot of times we have to put a hand up and say, enough, I can't do this. But we don't like saying that. There's something inbuilt in us. Come on, we'll push, we'll grind it. So I would say it's start with yourself by saying I can't, and then turn I can't into I won't. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not playing this game anymore. And then maybe rehearse that conversation with your buddy and let him question and tease it out, and then sit down with your wife, your girlfriend, or whoever, your boss, and say, I'm not doing this anymore because I can't. Because I just can't live this life anymore. And then the scary thing is, well, what happens now? Don't worry about that. The scary thing is what happens if you don't change? What happens if you keep this stress up? Your immune system, your nervous system is under this pressure all the time. I tell you what happens. Heart attacks, stroke, sickness, suicide. Look at the rate of illness. Look at the rate of suicide with men. That's what happens to us. So we have to learn to put our hands up earlier. And as men, we have to be able to hold each other with love and kindness and courage. And we should be able to say to each other, I can't. I'm scared. I don't know what way is up. I need help. And that help might just be a walk with your buddy once a week. And he just teases out some questions. But it goes back to the point we made earlier. Every man, every woman deep down knows the truth. Is this the life you dreamed of? Is there enough love in your life? Is there enough happiness in your life? And if not, what needs to change? Well, right now, what's stealing happiness from life? What's the single biggest stressor? And what's the one thing? So we can't always control what happens to us in our life, but we can control our response. And I think response is putting your hand up and saying, this isn't the life for me. And if the people in your life deeply love you the way they should love you, they'll support you. If somebody in your life says you need to keep driving on, you need to ignore those signals, you need to provide for us, you have to stay in that job, then that person doesn't love you.
Yeah. I'm listening to this and I'm reflecting on some of the men that I work with myself, and that's exactly where they're at, trying to be everything, and they're ultimately nothing at the end of it all because they're burnt out and exhausted and they've lost themselves. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of these men too, they're very lonely. And whether it's true or not, but it's certainly out there that there is some sort of loneliness epidemic for men in the world today, in this country, probably especially as well. How do we turn that back around and create deeper and more loving connections with men in our life? Not just the women. You've touched on women there in terms of the separation and in terms of trying to find our own identity and how we can merge together again in a healthy relationship. But what's going on with the men?
I think, men, firstly, somebody needs to normalise, because you have too many people in the world, super successful men, talking about when they were vulnerable 20 years ago. But look at me, look how amazing I am now because I fixed it. And I want to make it known to everyone. Every podcast I do is, I still struggle and I still wake up anxious at times and I still snap at the kids and I still lose my way. Because there's a danger now, most men say, oh, well, I've recovered from this, and this. Now look at me, I'm amazing. And then the people in the middle say, well, fuck, I'll never get there. So we need to normalise the one man that you think, whether he's Floyd Mayweather, whether it's Cristiano Ronaldo, they're struggling at times too. And we need to say, we all struggle. Nobody has it cracked. But from the outside at times, the people who talk about vulnerability talk about it as in, oh, this is how I've got to where I am today. Oh, fuck.
You're separated. You're
separated. So you're saying, well, I'm so brave now talking about my vulnerability because it's well in the past. Talk about your vulnerability now. What scares the shit out of you now? What makes you cry now? Where's your life fucked up right now? What's the biggest fear you have right now? Tell me that right now. Don't be telling me about this cool dude that's suddenly all recovered and healed and everything's fixed now, because it's easy to speak from that place about when you were vulnerable. And I think as men, we need to put our hand up and say, yeah, we're lost. As a species, we've lost our way a little bit. Because like one time ago, our parents probably grew up, my dad grew up, and the biggest thing he had to do every day was make sure every kid in the house was fed and had clothes to wear. But like we have to do that now, but we have to do a million other stuff, and we have to have lots of other stuff. And the basics aren't enough anymore now. So what's enough? And I think we need to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be a man anymore? And what is enough? Because everywhere you look, you have all these guys pushing this image of these transformed, enlightened, incredible men who've become something extraordinary. But they're not at all telling you the truth, because the truth is they're still fucked up half the time. Because we're learning. And like we were chatting off air, like life is constant dealing with a new challenge. So me and you were dads. So no matter how healed we thought we were, then two kids come along and say, fuck, I'm back again. So we've had to learn to be a dad. I spoke about my dad being 83. He's trying to deal with that because he's beginning to realize, what? Where did my life go? Men that are just retiring, who've dedicated their entire job to life, to a work, and now saying, well, who am I now? Where's my value? So life is this constant work in progress. And it's like I said to you earlier, it's like in the movie Rocky, where it says, the older you get, the more things get taken away from you. So if someone is sitting on a podcast, or somebody is sitting saying, I'll tell you about when I had nothing, and I'll tell you about how amazing I am, because look at everything I have now, and I'm going to show you my Ferrari and my cool apartment in Dubai. I don't need any of that. I could buy an apartment in Dubai in the morning if I wanted to. I don't want one. Will the apartment in Dubai make me any happier? Probably not. Driving the Ferrari, yeah, that's pretty cool for a day or two. But then it just becomes a car.
Until you land in a pothole in Ireland somewhere, yeah.
So it's a bit of a sales thing.
Yeah.
And I think it has given men this sense of striving towards something, striving to become something. How about just being okay where I'm at today? And realizing that every couple of years, as we become dads, and then you're a dad to 2 young kids that are not sleeping. Now that's one challenge. Then you're a dad to 2 teenage daughters. Well, that's another challenge. Then you're a dad to 2 kids in college. Then you're a grandparent. And your children are struggling to buy a house. They're struggling with children. And it's not saying that life is always doom and gloom, but life is always changing. It's a process of becoming all the time. It's a process of letting go. It's a process of surrendering. And I think the greatest gift men can do for each other is realize none of us have it all cracked. None of us have arrived at this perfect place of utopia. None of us. It's actually mind-boggling, the different challenges that come along and the way we have to face up. But the way we face up to any challenges from a place of love, kindness, compassion, and curiosity. And when you can face the adversity in your life from a place of love and truth and kindness, you take ownership on your life, and you're not comparing your life to anybody else, and you're not chasing anything anymore. And you can look yourself in the mirror and you're proud of the person you see. And you deeply love that person. And you love them enough to want them to be better. Then it's about you becoming better for you. It's not about you trying to become like Joe or Jack or the guy in Dubai. It's like, I just want to be happy for me. And we tell everybody the greatest gift in life is to be happy. But you don't need any of that shit to be happy. You don't need any of those sales or hits or clicks or likes or cars or apartments. Just be happy. And that sounds very difficult. But if your happiness or your sense of worth is dependent on something outside of you, now you're a victim. Then the car owns you. The house owns you. You don't. So non-attachment doesn't mean that we don't own anything. It means that nothing owns us. So if you have to get to a point where your sense of worth, value, esteem is not linked to anything outside of you. It's linked to me. I know who I am. I know what my life is about. I know what's important. I know how hard to push myself, but I also know when to step back. I know how to laugh. I know how to cry. I know how to help others, and I know how to ask for help. And it's this WIN mentality. WIN means what's important now. So the same dreams we had when we were 19, probably not relevant anymore. And I think regularly in our life, as our life changes, we need to regularly sit down and ask, what's important in my life now? What am I going to take on? What am I going to let go? And it's that process of letting go all the time. I think that's what brings the greatest freedom.
Where are you at now?
I'm in that process of letting go. Like, I'm in that process of really beginning to understand, what does the next 10 years of my life look like? Because the next 10 years could be one of two things. I've worked so hard to get to a point of happiness. I've 2 young kids. I've a business I'd love to expand globally. And to do that, it means I probably have to move to America. Do I want my kids growing up in America? Absolutely not. So sometimes you work so hard for something and then it's presented at your door, and like, right now, the 3 most important things in my life are my wife, my 2 children. My little boy is 4, my daughter's 2. We know the first 7 years of a child's life is so important. So I'm going to make less money than I probably could in the next couple of years. I'm going to sell less books. I'm going to do less shows because I want to be around for my 2 children at the moments that matter for the first 8 years of their life. So everybody's saying, Gerry, finally you're about to explode and you're getting offers to tour American TV shows. And I'm like, yeah, but no thanks. Why? What's going on? No, I've just been home with my kids now. And balance is the big thing for me, because the minute I go out of balance, I wake up anxious. I wake up fearful. I start getting angry. I start striving. I become that person again. So I have to regularly check in with my own coach. I have to regularly check in with people around me. How am I doing right now? Am I calm? Am I joyful? And I think that's really important. So where am I right now? Yeah, I'm sitting down asking, what's the next 10 years of my life look like? And I thought now was going to be me conquering the world. But when I look at my 2 young kids, I'm like, at the end of my life, if someone says, between the age of 46 and 56, you became a global sensation and you sold 12 million books, but you spent very little time with your children. Would that make any sense in my heart? None whatsoever. So I'm at that point where, as I said, I now have the launch pad to launch into what I thought I wanted, but stop and double check. And I've double checked over the last couple of months, and it's like, I'm absolutely certain. So when you get these calls from American TV hosts, they say, no, I'm not interested, thanks very much. No, I'm okay. And no one else can understand that, but I think we all need this internal strategic filter. What is my life about right now? What's the single most important thing in my life? And what's the decision I need to make right now to make sure that in 10 years' time I have no regrets? So it's like a sailor at the sea. You got to keep looking at that compass. And as we change, the compass changes. So we need to make sure that we're in alignment with where our heart is, with the things that really matter. And for everything we gain in life, we have to let something else go. So you've got to ask yourself, over the next 4 to 5 years, what is it I really need to gain? And what am I willing to let go to get that gain?
You're making a sacrifice either way, and it's deciding.
You choose your hard. I love that expression, choose your hard. Or you wake up in the morning, it's hard to get into the gym, it's hard to, in the ice tank, it's hard to do that. It's easy not to do that. It's easy to get overweight. It's easy to eat processed food. It's easy to become unhealthy. It's easy to stay in a shitty job you don't like. It's easy to stay in a shitty relationship that's not good for you. And then they say the greatest tragedy of life is not death. The greatest tragedy of life is arriving at the end and realizing you never lived. So all those easy choices lead to the hardest thing of life, the hardest thing of all, which is a life of regrets. So you either choose the mini hards every day or you choose a massive hard at the end. But either way, you're going to choose a hard. And I love that expression, choose your hard, because a lot of people, when I talk about getting up and exercising or going to therapy or really asking deeper questions or leaving a job that's safe and secure, but that's not easy, Gerry. I've stopped using the words hard or easy. I don't care about hard or easy because they're both hard in different ways. The question I ask is it exciting? When I think about doing that, does it set my heart on fire? Does it bring a sense of excitement? Does it feel right in my heart? Does it bring me to a better place? Does it make me become a better person? And if the answer is yes, then that's what I'm doing. I don't care whether it's hard or easy. But what I know is the easy choices of comfort, stability. There's something you said, I think, before we started, putting yourself in the way of doing hard things. I have an expression that I use with all my clients. It says, in order to live a life of extraordinary happiness or success, we must be willing to do hard things. But the ability to do hard things with an easy mindset is what separates the good from the truly great. So life is a challenge. Life is going to hit you. Life is going to kick you. Life is going to hit you out of the blue somewhere. And it's like being in the ring. You can be in there, facing that challenge, going up that mountain, in that boxing ring full of fear and anxiety and blame and criticism and anger, or you can be in there with a smile on your face, calm and relaxed, saying, fucking bring this on. I might get knocked out, but I want to find out what I'm worth. I want to find out who I am. In this challenge, I'm going to choose my response because I'm not a victim. And I used to love that about boxing, going into a ring saying, I could very well get knocked out here. And my fear level right now is through the roof. But I bet in 10 minutes I can overcome that. Or you go in the first round, you're hit with a massive body shot. And every ounce you say, oh, fuck, I need to get out of here. And then you say, oh, just give me a second. And literally within a minute, you're back in it. And that's what I love about life. Put yourself in the way of something hard. Put yourself in the way of a magnificent challenge. Not because you want to do it for other people or because you think you have to, but because when you think about it, you're like, geez, I wonder who I could become. So the real value of a goal is not in achieving the goal. The real value of a goal is who the goal enables you to become. In pursuit of that goal, do I become stronger? Do I know who I am? Do I let go of all the shit that I've been carrying? Do I let go of expectations of other people? And as long as I used to be worrying about what does my dad think if I get beaten? What if I get knocked out? I never enjoyed boxing. And it wasn't until I actually stopped giving a shit. I said, I'm doing this because I love it. And I love the adrenaline. And I love the fear in the dressing room. Every single time they put a pair of gloves on me, I said, what the fuck am I doing this for? Because I feel alive. Because I'm going to be faced with fear and worry, and I'm going to learn that I can switch all those off. I'm not my emotion. I'm not my story. I'm not my environment. I'm not my opponent. I can put myself in the face of a difficult scenario, and in that I can be calm, I can be truthful, and I can fucking love it. And I think that's just an incredible place to be. That is an empowered mindset where our energy, awareness, and attention is no longer on a point of pain. It's on a point of power. It's on the one thing I can control. It's on the stories I'm telling myself, the words I'm using, the people I'm surrounding myself with. I'm empowering myself. Does that mean that all the challenges in your life disappear? No. Does that mean the mountain gets smaller? No. Does that mean that the task gets easier? No. But it means you're bringing a whole new energy, a whole new mindset, a whole new way of looking into that environment. And I think that's the gift.
I'm aware that there's people listening to this and they feel fired up and inspired and feel as though they're ready to make a change in their life right now. But they'll switch off this podcast and then they'll get on with their life and they won't take any action because they're not in enough pain to inspire a change in their life. Why does it have to get to that point of incredible pain in order to make a change? Or can we avoid that incredible pain? Can we not get to the bottom of the pit before we start moving forward? Or is this just the way it has to be, especially for men as well? Because again, there's so much pride and ego caught up in their identity. And
the two biggest drivers of human change are crisis and diagnosis, unfortunately. But you don't need to wait for crisis or diagnosis. You just need to wake up. And how do you wake up? Ask yourself this question. Do you have a child? Do you want to be at their wedding? So we know now that 80% of the things that are killing people are down to stress, processed food, bad lifestyle. It's not genetics. The genetics play a role, but epigenetics is proven that the environment in which a gene exists is more important than the gene. Two identical twins, both the same genes, one gets cancer, one doesn't. So genes, yes, play a role. But stress, processed food, lack of sleep, undealt with trauma is actually what's killing most people. So when you ask most people, what would you be willing to do for the people you love? People would say, I'll die. I'll die. So I'll ask any man listening to this, what are you willing to do for the people you love? What are you willing to do for your children? And don't tell me you die, because that's the easy answer. That's the cop-out. Are you willing to get fit for your children? Are you willing to stop eating processed food? Are you willing to take up yoga or meditation? Are you willing to get into an ice tank? Because that's what men do. That's how we turn up. Or are you just willing to drink and eat processed food and tell yourself shitty stories? You got to make a decision. And if it's not your children, ask yourself, what do you want? Let's fast track this. We're all going to die. Before you know it, it's over. And on that last day, you either will sit with this absolute incredible experience of life saying, how the fuck did I do half those things? Jesus, wasn't that some run? I wish I had another 10 years, but you know what? Geez, I maxed out. I maxed it out. Or you're going to sit on that last day with a mountain of regrets saying, I could have, I should have, I might have. So we all know what to do. We all know how to do it. And most of us are not doing it. So if you know the what and you know the how, there's something missing. And what's missing is the why. Every single one of us has to identify our why. And for me, it's, I want to be the greatest dad that I can be. My little girl is 2. I want to be at her wedding. Not just fucking there as a cripple. I want to be strong. I want to walk her up the aisle. I want to dance with her. I want to kiss my son the day I love him. I want to hug him and tell him how amazing he is. Brian Cody was asked once, I know people know Brian Cody, the Kilkenny manager. He said something so simple, but this is profound, about Kilkenny people and Kilkenny hurlers, and they're willing to die. And Brian Cody said, stop, I'm going to stop you there. Kilkenny hurlers are not willing to die. We're willing to kill. We don't die. Too many people willing to die for their children. That's the easy option. It's easy, die. Get fit for your children. Go to a therapist. Look at your lifestyle right now and ask, what are you not handing down to your children? Because particularly as a dad, whether we know it or not, if you have a son, you're their idol. And they're going to look at you as if you're God. And they're going to download everything about you and become that. So you got to look in the mirror and ask, what am I handing down to my kids? And what stops with me? And one of the biggest things why I go back into therapy regular enough is I recognize there's still a part of me that needs to be healed. And I make that decision. I'm not handing this shit down. It stops with me. That's what dads do. That's how we man up. Through love, through kindness, through tears, through letting go. That's what strength is. It's to recognize your own weakness and say, I'm going to become curious about this. So it's that why. And when I've worked with teams, and I still work with rugby teams and hurling teams, you can do all the analysis and all the fucking debt and all the puck outs and all this waffle. I sit them in a room the first time I meet them. The only question I ask is, why do you play this game? Why this game? Why this club? What does this mean to you? What does wearing this jersey mean to you? And suddenly you realize they're playing for something else. It's not about cups. It's not about medals. It's about connection. It's about identity. It's about love. Because when we're in that dressing room, 10 minutes before the game, I'm in a dressing room with men that I fucking love. Men that I will go through a wall for. Men that I will live for. And men who at my lowest point have been there for me. And there's a bond there. That's what teams are about. So it's asking that question. Why are we doing this? Why would you get out of bed in the morning? Why would you walk for 100 meters? If you can't go for a run tomorrow, fine. Put all your runners on, get out for a walk. Get a punch bag tonight. Buy a punch bag. Hit it 10 times in the morning. And start to tell yourself that lovely expression, let's go, champ. Let's go, champ. I do that every single morning. That's my mantra. I robbed it from Shannon the Cannon Briggs. Let's go, champ. And some mornings I wake up, I feel tired, I feel angry, I feel stressed. And I don't listen to any of that bullshit. I go straight down, little basement in my house, into the bag, put the music on, I start hitting that bag. And I start telling myself, let's go, champ. Let's go, champ. You say that 100 times. You start hitting that bag. You start listening to that music. You're waking up something primal. You're waking up something called spirit and soul. and you're down that basement for 40, 45 minutes. And I'm chanting, I'm breathing, I'm hitting that bag, I'm listening to the music. Sometimes I'm crying. Sometimes I actually start crying on the bag because I have so much anger, or maybe I've been dealing with clients who've brought deep sadness into my life, and we all know we hold that energy. And it might be my own sadness, or it might be a client's sadness that I need to release. And out of nowhere, when I'm hitting, I just start crying. That's okay. Just cry, let it go. Or I go down somewhere and the anger that comes out of me. But it's better I take it out in the punch bag than go up and take it out in my kids. So for me, it's find that why. Every morning you wake up, have a photo, put some words on your phone, put a picture on your phone, put a picture on your laptop. When you're driving your car, put a little sticker on the dash of your car. Remind yourself every single morning why you're living, why you're doing this. And Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, which is probably one of the greatest books of all time, he says, he who has a why will find a how. If you don't have a why, the how doesn't matter. If you have a why, it doesn't matter how you have to do. I've often been away in hotels and I get a pillow and I make a makeshift little punch bag. A yoga mat is all you need. So don't tell yourself, oh, I don't live near enough to the gym, I can't get to a boxing gym. Find a way and ask that question. If I truly loved myself in this one short, precious life, if I didn't fear failure and I didn't care what other people thought, what would I have a go at? Go have a go at that.
Brilliant. Go get after it. And I'm absolutely, filled with strength and passion and inspiration after this conversation. So I'm sure the listeners are feeling the same. And of course, this is only a snapshot of what you can offer, Gerry. And you've got a big event coming up in November. Tell us about that, and also let everyone know where they can find you, potentially work with you. And
so my website is gerryhussey.ie. Our event is the National Concert Hall in November. A lot of people think our events are all female only. If you're a male of 19 and you're about to become a professional rugby player, you're a male in your 40s with young children, or you're a male who is facing the last 10 years of your life, I promise you, this event will resonate with you.
I'll be there.
And I think that's the message, because sometimes, like, all my one-to-one clients and all the teams I work with are all men. But sometimes there's a perception that our events or retreats are only for women. And I'd love to get that message out there, absolutely for men, because I'm a man and I'm in the middle of all of this. And I think men sometimes shy away from these events because what will the women think of him in that room? Who cares? Back yourself. I'll give you the price of the ticket back if you don't enjoy it, but I promise people, these are special events. It's frequency, it's movement, it's energy, it's just a day to stop worrying about the outside world, go back inside and ask, who am I? What do I stand for? What's my life about? And I'd love to get that message out there that these events are equally. Please don't shy away from these events. Sometimes we do. But we need men to turn up now. We need men to start having this conversation. We as men need to ask, who are we? What's our life about? What's going to set us free? What's going to empower us? What's going to inspire us? So that's November the 10th in the National Concert Hall in Dublin.
Brilliant. Gerry, thank you so much for this conversation. Absolutely epic stuff.
My pleasure.
And excited for what's to come. Thank you.
My pleasure.